The Ryzen 5 3600 is the best CPU for gaming and productivity under $200. You get 6 cores in total that work at a base frequency of 3.6 GHz. If you have a decent GPU like an AMD RX 5700, you will have a great gaming experience. The Ryzen 5 isn't that much behind its bigger brother, the Ryzen 7 3700X. You get more or less similar gaming performance in 2 while spending less money. You also get Zen 2's benefits like Psy 4.0 on the Ryzen 3600. If you use dual-channel memory, you will get even better performance with the Ryzen 5 3600. There is overclocking support as well if you want to push out more frame rates in games. If you are looking for the best gaming CPU under $200, then the Ryzen 5 3600 will be. If you are looking for the absolute best CPU for gaming 2021, then there is no beating the Intel Core i9 10900K. It is a 10-core processor that is just overkill. Most people won't even use this processor to its full potential. Currently, it is the world's fastest processor, so you won't have any trouble when running even the most demanding games on this CPU. This is one of those chips that won't hold you back in any circumstance. The best thing about this processor is that it comes with insanely high clock speeds. The 3.7 GHz base clock is more than the turbo speeds of the older Intel processor. The overclocking potential of this CPU is also very high, and you can easily hit speeds of up to 5.3 GHz with the Core i9. It is not just the best Intel processor for gaming, but also one of the best processors for productivity too. If you are a video editor and want to render videos in 4K or even 8K resolutions, then this CPU will do that for you. It also comes with reasonably good 95 WTDP when using it on base clock speeds. If you want to get every ounce of performance from this CPU, then you will need to buy a Z490 motherboard, as that will allow you to overclock this processor to its max boost clocks. If you are in the market for the best gaming processor, then the Intel Core i9 10900K is the one for you.
Installing a new processor is one of the most important things that you can do on your PC. It's the brain of the computer after all. So if you have a brand new AMD Ryzen processor that you're ready to install, we have a couple tips.
The Ryzen 7 3700X is the sweet spot for most people as it provides great gaming, but the top-of-line productivity performance. If you like to game streaming, video editing is surely one of the best CPUs around. If you pair this processor with the best gaming GPU, you are sure to get an impressive gaming experience. The best thing about the Ryzen 7 3700X is that it is an 8-core processor and has double the threads than an i7 to 9700K. Gaming at 1080p or even 1440p isn't a problem for this CPU. You also get support for Psy 4.0. You can even use this CPU on older X470 motherboards, which can save you a lot of money. The overclocking process of the Ryzen 7 3700X is also fairly simple as it comes unlocked. So, if you want to build the best gaming PC and still stay under budget, then the Ryzen 7 3700X is one of the best.
Helps keep your processor running cool and quiet. Now, if you've installed and removed this cooler a couple times, that thermal pad might be worn. You can clean it off with isopropyl alcohol, very easy. Now, what happens when that thermal pad gets worn out is that it must be replaced with aftermarket thermal compound. You can buy this from any online electronic retailer, and it only costs a few dollars. This thermal compound is really easy to apply, comes in a plungered syringe more often than not, and there are a few ways to put it on the processor. Many people advise a large dot the size of a pea or 2 peas in the center of the CPU, and then when you put the heatsink on, it will spread out evenly across the processor. Other people recommend drawing an X shape across the CPU with thin beads of the thermal compound.
Most of the high-end CPUs are often very pricey, and their price-to-performance ratio isn't that great. But with the introduction of the Ryzen 9 3950X, AMD has totally turned the tables. This is not a cheap processor by any means, but when you take a look at the performance that this CPU offers, you realize that it is very affordable considering its performance. This is a beast of a CPU with 16 cores and impressive 32 threads. High core count processors aren't often the best choice for gamers as they want a processor that has lower core counts but higher clock speeds. But with the optimization that AMD has done to their Zen 2 CPUs, they have become really good for gaming and provide almost similar gaming experience when compared to the more expensive Intel CPUs. The Ryzen 9 3950X is an absolute beast when it comes to high-end gaming. You can easily run any demanding game on this laptop and get the highest frame rates. It is also the best processor when it comes to productivity. It is even better in productivity than Intel's Core i9. If you are one of those people who want a CPU for gaming as well as for creative work, then you should definitely. This is one of the best choices for the people who are looking for the best performance in games but don't want to overspend on an Intel Core i9. The difference in gaming performance between the Intel Core i7 10700K and Core i9 is not that much. You get a similar gaming experience while spending a lot less money. When you compare it with AMD's 3700X, which is an 8-core processor, the 10th gen Intel Core i7 is able to perform better in games. A lot of people get concerned when it comes to performance in productivity tasks, but the i7 10700K is able to hold its own in that department as well, due to its high clock speeds. The overclocking potential of this CPU is very high as well, and you can comfortably go above 5 GHz on all cores if you use a good cooler. This makes it really good for games as games